Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good evening and welcome to the mid-2017 State of the Switch address. E3 is behind us, the holiday season is in front of us, and we're here to assess where our beloved console stands. What's up, everybody? It's Zach from Switchverse. I've got Jake and Gabe here, and we are talking all about the state of the Switch, how things are looking, if it has exceeded or being below expectations now that we know the entirety of the 2017 lineup, save for a few dates for some of the Nindies, and if we think that now is a good time to buy the console or if you should wait or how that all goes. I think it's very evident that Nintendo delivered in terms of their first-party output. They promised games, and they gave them to us at E3. We've got Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade, Fire Emblem Warriors, and the likes releasing pretty much every month from here until 2018. But I think the first objection comes from Gabriel and a little issue he takes with third-party support.
It's not even so much an issue as much as as an observation. Like, where are the third parties? Why is the Dragon Ball game getting announced and it's not coming to Switch when it's a fighting game? And Namco has explicitly said, "Hey, it's not a issue of power. The Switch can absolutely handle it. We'll just make it if there's enough people wanting it." So the Switch being such a rapidly growing console, right, and the install base only continues to grow month by month, and heading into holiday, you would imagine that it's going to be the same thing. Why isn't Dragon Ball on there? Like, that's a little bit telling to me. Like, maybe third parties aren't as behind this as we might think. Supposedly EA is behind this thing in a big way, but then we're getting FIFA, and what else? No need for speed, no Madden, nothing. So where do third parties stand?
I think it's interesting, and we didn't really get many third-party announcements whatsoever. I mean, Bethesda showed off Skyrim. There's a little interesting connection there with the Link armor. Beyond that, not much else. And I think we kind of predicted this in talking about, okay, third parties are probably going to come next year more so than this year. This is still kind of like that incubation period, and maybe companies weren't on board early enough to have games prepared for E3.
I still want to know where that even comes from. What indication do you have that third parties coming next year?
I think a lot of the support for Switch has been post-launch. The fear of this being another Wii U situation has been alleviated, and I feel like that sort of onboarding of other publishers has happened since launch, and there, obviously no time really to get something ready between, say, April and June, to unveil at E3. I feel like we will be getting that next year, but yes, it is definitely a little bit of a concern that not much was revealed in that fashion, except on the indie side. Lots of indie support for the Switch, but in terms of main big third-party publishers, I mean, all we can go on is what they've said, right? EA saying that they think the system is really cool and want to make more for it, and things of that sort. I'm sure the Rabbids Ubisoft partnership, if that goes well, will lead to more titles, but as of right now, that probably is the biggest pitfall for the portable console hybrid.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on the Switch for too long because they're doing a really good job. There's a lot of really fun games coming. The third party thing is just one small aspect of it. Tremendous indie support, like you said. Rocket League is coming. So
that is true. Yeah, I mean, I guess it falls under indie, but it's a big enough game that does show at least some third party connection and some initiative on Nintendo's part to grab a beloved game.
For sure.
In terms of where the system stands lineup-wise, I feel like early on the big complaint of, do you buy a Switch, do you wait for a Switch, was, is there enough to play, and was it just a Zelda machine? Jake, do you think now with the announced lineup, it's safe to buy a Switch today?
I think so. I mean, you know that Nintendo is going to be fully behind it. They've already announced Metroid Prime 4, Yoshi, Kirby going forward. There's probably going to be a Smash Bros. Coming eventually. There's Pikmin is almost all but certain. So, I mean, even if you didn't get third-party support, you still have 20 very, very solid Nintendo games that you could play on it, plus all the indies like Rocket League, Graceful Explosion Machine, Mr. Shifty that come over. So, I mean, some people I feel like are kind of jaded or spoiled, and they want, the PS4 or the Xbox One that has every game under the sun minus Nintendo games. But if you look at it just as, the core best games, Nintendo is pumping those out in every genre, and so that alone I feel like should be enough to satiate people and give a reason to buy the Switch.
Yeah, and it feels like now there is a path forward. We were hoping to see that E3, and I think we did. We see their commitment with Metroid Prime 4 whenever that game eventually releases, and some early looks at things like Yoshi and Kirby, as you mentioned. So I feel like now sort of that narrative of like, is there any games to play, kind of can be wiped. From a third-party standpoint, maybe not, but from an indie standpoint, knowing you're getting big stuff like Rocket League, exciting stuff like SteamWorld Dig 2, really unique stuff like Wargroove, eventually, cool stuff like Pocket Rumble. I feel like now there is plenty to play, and you know that you're getting Splatoon next month and consequent titles from here till at least the end of 2017. So I don't think there's any worry anymore about like, oh, not enough to play. You already have the beautiful trifecta of ARMS, Mario Kart, and Zelda that kind of fill in a bunch of genres and provide single-player, multiplayer options. So, yeah, I think now they definitely have at least cleared the hurdle of, like, will there be enough this year? And absolutely, I think the Switch is a totally viable purchase. You know, we felt it was viable at the beginning, but for people that worried, like, oh, is this just going to be Zelda? Is there enough? Should you wait? I think now is a fine time to buy, especially considering they placed quite a bit between today and Mario. There's still a lot of games that come before the big man himself.
Well, you know, good luck finding one today.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing. You know, state of the Switch is one thing, but state of finding a Switch is another thing. And it seems to still be, I mean, it's easier, but still difficult. And I wonder at what point Nintendo catches up with demand.
If at all, right? You got to imagine that leading into holiday, like, unless that they up their product, I mean, which they have upped their production, but like they got to get these things on store shelves so that like anybody that walks in can get one. Like I don't know how difficult. I mean, it has to be difficult, right? Like to make sure that on Black Friday you have as many Switch consoles as people wanting to buy them. But yeah, I mean, but overall, right? Like to go back to the main crux of the video is just like, you know, the state of the Switch. It's as expected, to me at least. You know, great Nintendo games, a little lacking in the third-party section, hopefully getting better, as you mentioned, maybe next year. And that's that. What else can we even say, right? Because we know Nintendo games are going to be great. We know that. They do such a good job of cultivating new franchises now. ARMS, we've been having a lot of fun with. Splatoon was a surprise hit for them when the original came out, and now they're coming with the big sequel. That also seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. So
another interesting thing is like Ubisoft with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's technically sort of a Nintendo game because it has, you know, Mario as the star, but it is developed like completely third party, and it is showing that Nintendo is willing and wanting to expand their horizons into different genres and lend out their properties to trusted developers to create more epic games for the Switch. You know, they're not just bunkered down, you know, remaking Mario games and Zelda games. They're expanding those titles. They're making new IPs. They're lending out their characters to other companies to work on new genres of games. So Nintendo is definitely, you know, taking steps to broaden their horizons and make the Switch much more unique and different than anything they've done in the past, which I think is another cool, clear step that they are moving forward in the right direction.
Well, and I think it's awesome. And ARMS is kind of, to me, a really important milestone of like, they made a game that we were concerned about, and it not only is a great game, but it's a great fit for Switch. And I think that can kind of lead into sort of the next segment here, which is that hybrid thing still as fun as we thought? And we've had an E3 to see a whole bunch of games in one space. We've had an E3 to see how Nintendo and, you know, a few other developers are going to utilize that. But ARMS is a fantastic example of, one, a new IP, two, a very fun Nintendo game, and three, something that takes great advantage of the Switch. Because let's be real here, that ARMS, like on the go and being able to play it on the plane or just like in bed, you know, it's an ideal fit for that. And I think it helps to elevate that game beyond, like, if every time I wanted to play ARMS I had to plug in my PS4, turn on my TV, you know, like, it wouldn't be, I feel, as exciting of an experience.
Yeah, or even we have like interesting experience of like two of us were playing in a video and like, you know, recording it in a fight between us, and then the third person was like practicing ARMS on a different Switch off to the side. So it's like, it's like it adds to that party mechanic where normally you'd have to like take turns or wait for other people to get done in like a two-player multiplayer local multiplayer game. But with this now, if somebody else has a Switch, like you could be like playing on your own or have two people playing tabletop mode while you're using the big TV, or just there's so many different like variations and pairings that you can use the Switch for, and like include everybody all the time, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the magic of the Switch. And I also just to kind of continue with the main topic here. Like I feel like anybody that purchases a Switch like today or tomorrow or whatever, you have so much to play. You have Mario Kart, you have Zelda, you have Snipper Clips, you have ARMS now, Splatoon is next month, and then you have a big game every single month, except the 1 month where not Dragon Ball, where Monster Hunter was supposed to come out, because that's not localized to English. So, there's a little bit of a gap there. I don't know if something took its place. I don't.
Mario plus Rabbids at the end of August, so
Okay.
you will. You do have a Splatoon July 21st, and then Rabbids August 29th.
I don't see how anybody buys a Switch and feels any type of buyer's remorse. There's so much to play. So much. And Zelda being like such a big experience, that's going to take you a while. And then, Splatoon right around the corner. You can have ARMS for your multiplayer fun along with Mario Kart. So, I'm happy with it. That I think you would be happy if you purchase this. The state of the Switch, in my opinion, is very strong. Still selling very well. The excitement for it is at an all-time high. Stock for Nintendo, as we know, is very reactionary, but it had an all-time high after like the positive reception that they had with their E3 presentation. So, nothing to really complain about other than the third-party thing.
Yeah, and I feel it's still a fun and novel concept, and maybe at this point we can evolve the hybrid nature beyond novelty and just say that it's gonna be awesome always, because the prospect of playing Mario Odyssey on the go and at home is super alluring and exciting, and it seems to be that way with every game. I feel like it's something that hasn't lost its effect. Playing Zelda was sort of like this eye-opening experience, being able to take it wherever, and it's still the same with ARMS, and it was the same with Mario Kart, and it'll probably be the same with Splatoon. So it, to me, just cements that this was a great idea, and now beyond E3, knowing the lineup, that is still something and it seems like everybody wants.
Yeah, and I think, just to give a personal anecdote, I think the main issue, more so than third party even, is the stocking thing, because when I was waiting in line in Mario Odyssey at E3 to play the on the floor demo, like I remember at least 4 or 5 different people that just the ones I picked out that were around me, talking about like, oh, have you gotten a Switch yet? Oh no, it's whenever I get a notification like there's some in stock, like I'm at work and I can't go get it, or just like there's people that like wanted it and they were there playing the games and like spent their money and time traveling to go play the new games, but still can't even get their hands on a Switch. So I think like moving forward, yeah, like Gabe said, like the stocking issue might be the biggest thing that's holding the Switch back.
Yeah, it sits at $423 on Amazon right now. If you want to buy one, and that's a third-party seller with Prime, and Best Buy sold out, GameStop sold out. So yeah, that's definitely something that they're going to need to work on, and we assume that they do, right? But I think setting the stock aside, the system is flourishing, and I feel great knowing that after E3, it still is doing such, right? We could have come out of E3 with a lackluster showing, with a port-heavy showing, with a disappointing showing, with a delayed-ridden showing, and instead they kind of like checked all the boxes. And I feel like that's one of the reasons we deemed them one of, if not the big winner of E3 2017. And it's just such a great sign for their system. Now, they do need to secure that third-party stuff, I feel, at some point, because do you one day run out of franchises? Do you run out of Splatoons and Marios and Zeldas to put every single month? I mean, just to speculate a little bit on the next year of Switch, or before we do the next day of Switch, do you think that, as a few people have questioned, that at one point they run out of this opportunity to put a big franchise every month?
Yeah, eventually, yeah. It's just how long will that be? That we've still named off like 4, 5, or 6 games that will at least could carry them until summer of next year or holiday of next year, if they space them out a little bit more.
I think we just hope that they have third party before them. And I guess the indie stuff can't be denied, right? There are a lot of indie games on that list that have not been released. And yes, some of them are, previously released titles from other platforms, stuff like Towerfall and Rocket League, but they're still exciting and awesome to have on Switch and will help fill that gap. I will just also say that the online and virtual console stuff not being solidified, to me, is one of the only other negatives. It feels like a part of their policy is just absent. They have promised that it's coming, and it sounds like, based on Reggie's E3 comments, that Virtual Console is going to be saved for the sort of online rollout. Does that impact or affect anything? I mean, I guess it's a good thing, right? You buy a Switch now, you get online free at least through the end of the year.
Yeah. The online that's here now, though, like I still just want to know how they're gonna differentiate like the paid online, even though it's not super expensive, so it probably won't be very different other than the game library stuff. But yeah, I mean, even the online stuff, I think that's a topic for another video completely. But yeah, you're right. That is like the only other negative, that and Virtual Console that we can like really speak on.
Both of them being absent. I mean, online isn't going to change in the sense that you're just gonna have to pay for it, but maybe that's even.
But you hope that you can like party up with people and like maybe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, talk to people when you're playing different games, just stuff like that.
For sure, and I guess even more of a reason to get it now is you would get 6 months of free online, which you can't really complain about.
At least 6 months, at least.
Right, whenever they roll that out. But I think in general, all of us here at Switch Force feel really great about the state of the Switch. I think Nintendo has done and delivered, in my opinion, without really any setbacks. I mean, the third-party stuff, I guess, could be considered a setback. The absence of Virtual Console for me personally is a bit of a setback. But otherwise, I think we talked time and time again about, are they going to be able to deliver? Can they keep this up? And they have, and they will, and we know for the foreseeable future that they are going to win on those fronts, on those campaign promises. And I feel like they have earned their spot as a very viable platform going forward. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as the online, as Virtual Console is rolled out, and as hopefully we get more third-party support. But right now, gotta feel good about the Switch. Let us know in the comments down below how you feel about the state of the Switch. If you're a Switch owner, are you feeling good about your purchase? If you're a prospective owner, are you ready to dive in now that you've seen what the rest of the year holds? And just in general, I mean, the Joy-Con, the Pro Controller, we feel good about those as well, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I don't have any complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Good controllers, good build. It seems like they've rectified
and they're coming
many
out
of
with new ones that are amazing, looking like the pink and green.
Yes, lots of lovely options. They've rectified like the left Joy-Con issue or some of those problems. Doesn't seem to be any new problems popping up. I think in general, this is a sound system with a awesome burgeoning library, and we just need a little bit of side support and things will be golden. So let us know again in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch and us here at Switch Force. Until that time, though, everybody, thanks again. A fantastic day for myself, Jake, and Gabe. Switch Force out.